Welcome back, everybody. Huge news in the cryptocurrency ecosystem today. We're going to talk all about it. Ethereum ETFs got approved. The FIT21 bill came to the USA. Some regulation. Is it good? Is it bad? We're going to talk about it. And at the end of the video, we're going to talk about HEX. We're going to get back to the originals, right? HEX, cryptocurrency. Is it still a good buy? And we're going to talk about just how scarce it is. We're going to prove that with real numbers. But first of all, guys, this is glorious. The SEC finally approved the Ethereum ETF. We didn't see this coming. All right, we didn't see this coming this early, basically. Now, what does this mean? The SEC, they've historically been hostile to crypto, right? They don't like it. If they could, they would kill it completely, but we know that they can't. So for 10 years, guys, for 10 years, the Bitcoin ETF got rejected over and over and over. Now, of course, back when Bitcoin was 5 years old, that kind of makes sense. They basically had no choice. The powers that be kind of forced their hand on this one. BlackRock, I'm talking about BlackRock, ARK, and all the big institutional companies, they want their piece of the action. Everyone's getting rich on crypto, and the big institutions and hedge funds and Wall Street, they're late to the party for once. Okay, never before in history has there been a financial revolution where Wall Street is late to the party. So everybody that's bought Bitcoin over the past 10, 15 years, Bitcoin's been out since 2009, they won. Okay, they won. Now they get to dump on Wall Street's head. And guess what? It's Ethereum's turn next. What does that mean for your bags? You might be holding a bag of Pulse Chain. You might be asking yourself, is this bullish? Guys, your bags are going to pump. All right, that's what this means. I'm not going to beat around the bush here. It's going to pump everything. It's going to be a glorious cycle because money is going to be inflowing from Ethereum ETFs the whole entire time. Just like the Ethereum ETFs took Bitcoin from, what was it, 15K all the way to $70,000. And the cycle's not even over yet. We're just getting started, honestly. $30 billion of institutional money from hedge funds, family offices, 401ks, Wall Street. These are just the big players. They don't care about self-custody. Let's be honest out there. A lot of people don't even care about how to hold their own private keys. They just want to go in their exchange account, go in their 401k, allocate 1% of their portfolio into this brand new asset class, and they're happy. Okay, they're lazy. They're not like you watching, who's ahead of the curve, who's been buying Ethereum and Pulse Chain and all these cryptocurrencies that are set to explode early. And you're going to get the reward for learning about it early. So chances are, if you're watching this video, you're not one of these normies out there. But this is going to unlock normie money. All right, what do I mean by that? Your mom, dad, brother, sister, aunt, uncle, cousin, they don't care for the most part. 90% of people just want someone else to do it for them. And the Ethereum ETF, the Bitcoin ETF, is just an institution like BlackRock or ARK or Vanguard, investing in Bitcoin or Ethereum on behalf of a person. And they can just buy shares of it as if it was a stock. Now, of course, they could convert that stock, that ETF, back into Bitcoin or into Ethereum, but hardly anyone does that. Okay, they want to trade it around like a stock, like a ticker symbol on the exchanges, because that's the way things have always been done. They don't care about the new parallel financial ecosystem that we're building, even though that's where all the opportunity is. So if you're here right now, think about how early you are. You're not early for Bitcoin anymore, okay? You got 15 years to buy Bitcoin. All right, you had 15 years to buy it. The Bitcoin ETF is out. Everyone that bought Bitcoin before this year, congratulations. You get to dump on Wall Street for once. Now, Ethereum is going to go down the same path. And if it even captures a fraction of what the Bitcoin ETF did, look at down here, guys. Let me read this for you. $30 billion have poured into the crypto ETFs. Ethereum is lower liquidity than Bitcoin. Lower liquidity means it can pump harder. Imagine injecting even $10 billion into the Ethereum liquidity from global reserves, from hedge funds, from family offices. Look, nobody saw this coming. Guys, it's incredible. The SEC, like Mr. Gary Gensler, the chairman of the SEC, he's kind of been cucked. Okay, he's been cucked by BlackRock. BlackRock gets what they want. Larry Fink, CEO of BlackRock, they forced his hand. Okay, so it's about time that they finally take this L, they bow down, they realize Ethereum is probably not going to be a security. We're going to talk about that in a minute. Because if Ethereum is not a security, Pulse Chain is a literal clone of Ethereum, what do you think might happen to Ethereum and Pulse Chain, which also has 50,000 global validators, decentralized? There's pros and cons of this new legislation. Anyway, guys, it's a big deal. It's not going to pump right away because what we have to realize is that the Ethereum ETF was approved, but the S1 forms, which are the forms that companies have to file to actually get their ETF on the market, those are still coming. Those are still on the way. This is basically just the SEC saying, you're good to go. You get the green light. But everybody else now has to file all the paperwork and actually get their things onto the exchanges. Look over here. This is the Blockworks ETF tracker. We can look at all the way down here. These are the Ethereum ETFs pending. And you've got dates on these, right? So you've got Valkyrie. You've got ARK 21 shares. You got Grayscale. Grayscale's joining the party. Grayscale got a seat at the big boys table. Invesco, Fidelity, and where is BlackRock? There they are, good old BlackRock. 99.9% success rate with approvals of ETFs, okay? These guys basically own the entire world. So it looks like the BlackRock final deadline, you can't see it here, but it's August 7th. There it is. August 7th, 2024 is the final deadline. So, don't get your hopes up for immediate overnight, we're going to $10,000, but the approvals are there. The writing is on the wall. And if we do get a little pullback, are you going to buy the dip? Or are you still going to doubt crypto? Are you still going to doubt the billions of dollars coming in? Leading this to be, look, I hate to use the word super cycle, right? But this time could actually be different. Who knows? Is the 4-year cycle still intact? It might be, but we've never had this scale of money coming in. We've never had crypto in a macro bearish environment without quantitative easing to help us. What happens when that comes back? The Fed lowers rates again. You've got the gates are down for Ethereum now. Billions of dollars can come into ETH. Investors, hedge funds, wealth advisors, retail advisors, pouring over $30 billion into crypto so far. Imagine if that just keeps happening. Okay, these inflows have been overpowering any potential dumpers. So the Ethereum ICO people are going to be massively rewarded. And some of that money is probably going to trickle into the other major L1 players. Some of the other major players, such as PulseX, for example. We know a guy out there, a founder of a certain coin, who's got a lot of Ethereum, 170,000 Ethereum from the sacrifice phase, probably at a lowball estimate about another 100,000 Ethereum from the HEX adoption amplifier, and mined full Bitcoin blocks in 2011 when Bitcoin was $2, $30. Cycle 1 Bitcoin. Imagine untouched Cycle 1 Bitcoin plus 270,000 Ethereum. At a price of $10,000 Ethereum, that's $2.7 billion. Hey, he's rumored to be a billionaire. He likes buying his own coins. Do with that information what you will. That's why when I tell people about PulseX, PulseChain, I usually go over here to the Farms tab. I usually go over here to Farms and I scroll down and I say, look, if you're bullish on Ethereum and you're bullish on PLS and you want to ride the wave, you don't care, you just want to dip your toes in the water, 47% APY. Plus, if INC goes up in value, this is going to be even higher. So you're getting paid an INC token in this yield farm to hold 50% ETH, 50% Pulse. And if they both go up, let's say ETH does a 5x and Pulse does God knows how much, you could play this game where you're getting the best of both worlds. And you're getting paid to hold, paid to be in this liquidity pool, and to also link Pulse to Ethereum to go along for the ride of Ethereum as well. Sounds like a win-win-win in terms of everybody. Just keep an eye on that yield farm. All right, I'm thinking about joining this one very, very soon. Very, very soon. Like, I'm talking in 2 more weeks when I get a big chunk of money. I'm going to probably be entering this yield farm. I'm pretty excited for that. We'll see how it goes, right? Could be the worst idea ever. Now, look, financial innovation and technology for the 21st century. This is some legislation. We're moving on from the Ethereum ETF. Great news for crypto. Long story short, it means number go up. But the USA also finally introduced legislation in America. The first time they've ever done this. The SEC has just been reckless. Been straight up suing everybody, not defining any rules. Gary Gensler, the semen demon. Nobody likes him. Highly unpopular. But even the party, the incumbents in Congress today, they're realizing that they got to put something out there because they are not popular right now. They are not very popular. And to alienate a whole bunch of voters, which, by the way, you guys should be single issue voters on the most important issue of our entire generation, getting the money right? Freedom of value transfer. It's kind of important. Not only do you get rich, but everyone gets more free in the process. So they put some legislation out. What does it say? Well, it starts off in, a kind of a positive light. They want you to think, oh, everything's fine. Look, we got it all figured out. Look, guys, the CFTC down here, they are the Commodities Futures Trading Commission. They're going to put the CFTC in charge of crypto rather than the SEC, which is the Securities Exchange Commission. Now, I think this is a good idea personally, but there's more to this, okay? This could be a Trojan horse, and you don't just want to fall for it just because you see a couple of headlines that they really have it all figured out. This could give them enough power to be dangerous with how vague it is. So, although there's some good parts about this new FIT21 bill, this could be good for crypto in the USA. It could also be very bad. So what you can do is you can go, click on it. Let me Google that for you. You click on this, right? Click on the bill, get the PDF right here, copy paste that into an AI, for example, and then you can just ask the AI, what are the dangers for decentralized exchanges under this bill? For example, here's one of the Trojan horse potential downfalls if we don't speak out against this bill. They don't specifically say what an exchange is. They don't specifically say if, for example, Uniswap or PulseX would fall under the definition of an exchange. And how would you like it if you had to go to Uniswap or 1inch or 9inch.io and there was a KYC form on the page where it's supposed to be decentralized? I think that would really suck. Okay, that would be really, really bad. And it says right here in the AI it would likely include DEXs. I mean, this is all just interpretation of AI. But, Sasha Hodder over here, Sasha agrees. She says it's sad to see so many in our industry earnestly cheering for the FIT21 Act when it's a Trojan horse designed to kill DeFi and non-custodial ownership. So yes, they have rules, but are they good rules? The CFTC thing, that's okay. I'm actually for that. Okay, I'd rather these be called commodities than securities, then everyone's happy. But it's not that simple, okay? If it doesn't clearly define what an exchange is, they could go ahead and say this applies to every single person that's hosting a website. Which, by the way, aren't you now glad, back when we were all complaining and the sky was falling and this was the worst thing in the world, aren't you glad that all the Pulse Chain websites look kind of like this, right? They look kind of like this because you download it locally, downloadable DeFi, or you run it on IPFS, a decentralized internet. Aren't you glad somebody thought of this beforehand? Somebody thought of this beforehand to prepare for the day that this might come. From what I hear, they're already doing similar legislation in the UK, basically KYCing everybody that's centrally hosting a DEX website. Absolute BS. And if you don't understand why that's BS, crypto was invented to get rid of middlemen, to make your money more free. And if you're KYC just to use a DEX, that defeats the entire purpose of crypto. If somebody could look you up by ID and match your ID to your wallet and shut you off if they don't like what you're saying or they don't like what you're doing, look, you give them an inch and they will take a mile. The government's not in the business of giving you more rights. Okay, they're in the business of taking them away and getting more power and basically just keeping their jobs, keeping the status quo, and making good deals for their buddies. So, we got your friend Sami over here, everyone's friend. In the recent bill, he also specifies another potential danger of the FIT21 Act, or bill. And by the way, this bill only passed through the House of Representatives, so it still has to pass through Senate. Okay, that's how bills work. But we'll see what happens. I hope it gets some amendments. We'll see if there's anything we can do about it. But just get the message out there and educate yourself about what this is. Because Sami is over here saying that if your crypto is decentralized or not, whether or not it's decentralized is determined by the ownership of, if one person controls more than 20% of the coins, it could be centralized. Now look, if Ethereum is decentralized enough, I think by association, Pulse Chain is decentralized enough. And it literally is impossible to prove. It's impossible to prove if some one person owns 20% because you can break it up into as many wallets as you want. It's so arbitrary, and it's another point that just shows you how out of touch the government is with crypto regulations. They think it's really just that simple. 20% or more owned by one person. It's like, okay, well, what are you going to do about Binance then? Or what are you going to do about Chainlink and all Sergey's coins? Or did you actually know that most coins, most ERC20s have a single person that owns more than 20%, or even a treasury? Looking by centralized ownership of coins is a terrible way to do things. Looking by centralized technologically is a much better way. In that case, Ethereum's got 1 million validators. Pulse Chain's got 50,000 validators globally. 50,000 globally. Hundreds and hundreds of people. You can't just knock on everyone's door at the same time in China, Africa, Australia, Europe, UK, South America, Mexico. You can't just knock on everyone's door at the same time and shut it down. So there's geographical security and distribution. That's why these networks are safe, because no government owns them. All right. Now let's hope that they change these rules. But even if they didn't, this would be, I agree here, this would be tough to prove. It would be damn near impossible to prove that one person owns 20% of the coins. Because how do you even prove somebody owns anything, right? How do you prove that this guy owns a private key? Show me your private key. I don't have it. I don't know it. Okay. We're kind of at a stalemate there. You know what I mean? Anyway, guys, going back to HEX, this is the very end of the video. Great day for Ethereum. And Ethereum typically flows into altcoins. With the Ethereum ETF being approved, this is going to be huge. FIT21 bill, somewhat of clarity, but be skeptical. Be very wary of these government snaky type of people. All right, be very wary, because it's Trojan horse. Going back to Sasha, but now back to HEX. So people talk a lot about HEX. A lot of people have been writing HEX off. HEX has seen terrible, terrible lows, deep, deep depression, and it feels like it's at maximum pain. It really does feel like it's at maximum pain. And I want to tell you guys, if I was starting HEX out over again, what would I do? What would I do if I was starting HEX from scratch? I would probably make a staking ladder, just like I did in the very beginning of HEX. Okay, I'd probably make a staking ladder, which means multiple stakes, and I would try to time them around when I think the peaks of future bull cycles are going to be. And I'd cluster them a little more closely, tightly around 2025, maybe late 25, maybe early 26. Then I might take a breather for a while and go into 27, 28, 29. And I would do that for about, it's hard to say, anywhere from 50 to 80% of my bag. I guess it depends on the individual. Depends on how I'm feeling that day. But this is something that's changed for me that's unlike when I first started off in HEX. When I first started off in HEX, the only thing you could do was stake it, right? That was all that anyone was doing. So I just made a staking ladder with the whole thing. Obviously, not just all the maximum length, 15 years, but you know, my average staking duration is 7.7 years. I wouldn't change the average duration being 7.7 years, but I would keep a pretty solid liquid stack, anywhere from 20% to 50% personally, and I would be locking it in various protocols. For example, the Flex protocol, paying out tons of yield. Basically, this is liquid loans for HEX. And by the way, we've got over 500 million HEX. Yeah, 500 million, 552 million HEX locked in this protocol, and it's only a month old. You could also lock it in some of these yield farms, tying into PLS, getting 30% APY. And you could look at that like your more short-term bag. Because even though it's not sitting liquid, right, it's being put to work, it's earning you yield, whether it's here, whether it's Flex protocol, whether it's, who knows, a 9inch.io yield farm. There's so many yield farms out there. Go find them. And they'll pay you more than a short-term stake would. But you're going to be taking a risk, of course. There's risk of impermanent loss here. There's risk that you get liquidated on Flex protocol. So don't just invest in these without understanding what they do. But I would leave that 20 to 50% in a more semi-accessible way, just in case HEX goes up and you don't want to time the market, you want to take some profit. You can take that profit out of your semi-liquid bag and never have to worry about touching your stakes. Okay? And when taking profit in HEX, just to tell you guys, I hope a lot of whales out there, if you're listening, I hope you do this. Use the Flex protocol so that you're not dumping HEX like obviously you have been the entire past 2 years. I don't know who it is, but you know, apparently there's been a lot of people with a lot of liquid HEX. I thought we were all staked, guys. Come on. Now, look, in all seriousness, it is what it is, but it's good that in the future, for future cycles, we have options now. We have options where you could put your HEX in here, take out a huge loan, and let's say you want to get rid of it without dumping the price down. You could take out a very risky 110% loan and get HEX DC. This is a stable coin backed by HEX. You could trade that HEX DC for, you know, DAI or USDC or whatever you want, cash it out that way. And that way your HEX gets redeemed against. It doesn't get sold on the open market. People are sleeping on this protocol, I think. They don't realize how to use these protocols for exiting when it's time to. And I just hope people do that this time instead of just mass dumping with the market sell button. I hope the whales can exit smarter this next time around. But look, why am I so bullish about HEX still? Look at how scarce it is, guys. Look at how scarce it is. I want to point out really, really quick the liquidity here on the primary pool, $20 million total liquidity. And when you add all the other liquidity pools together, it's somewhere around $21 million. Okay, the other liquidity pools, look right here. They don't really add up to that much. All right, you got 200K over here, 300K over here, 145K over here. You know, they barely do anything compared to the 20 million on PulseX V1. And you got to divide that in half to see the amount of liquidity. And look, what you got to do on dexscreener.com when you're looking at a liquidity pool is you got to go scroll down and see, look at how much coins are actually in the pool. There's only $10 million worth of HEX, and it's 1.3 billion HEX is actually for sale in this pool. We can shout out to Crypto Khalil over here. This guy's been making great HEX tweets, and he's actually also outlining, spelling it out for you, the misconceptions about HEX's total supply. People go look at it and they see, oh my god, there's 656 billion core coins total. Well look, they forget about the OA. Okay, they forget about the origin address, who we're literally all reading between the lines here, assuming those are dormant coins, because why would any founder nuke their own project? Seems really obvious, you know, that 90% of these coins that haven't moved in 4 years are probably not going to be moving, or dumping the price down, or hurting the price in any single way. So of the community's coins, only 93 billion is circulating by the community. Okay, circulating. And of that 93 billion, look, of that 93 billion, about, I think 9% of total coins are staked. 9% of total coins, right? And that's 9% of 656 billion. So what's 9% of 656 billion? 656 times 0.09. That's about 59 billion coins that are staked. So 59 billion coins are staked approximately. I mean, the origin address might have staked some too. What's 93 minus 59? Minus 59. That is about 34 billion is held liquid. And 3 billion of that is in liquidity. And in liquidity, guys, 0.5% of the total supply is in liquidity. HEX is a lot scarcer than you think. I agree, Mr. Khalil. Thanks for the insightful post, because that prompted me to tell you guys about the liquidity, okay? Liquidity is so small relative to total supply. This is extremely bullish. That's why I think that HEX is so slept on. It's the biggest potential sleeping giant of the whole bull market when it comes to Pulse Chain blue chips specifically. So what I'm saying is, guys, you know, you double the liquidity on the bid side, you 4x the price. You 10x the liquidity on the bid side, you 100x the price. So if you 10x the bid side, and the bid side here, let's say, is HEX, okay? If $90 million came into HEX, and it did a 10x from $10 million to $100 million, okay, the price would basically go up 100x. $90 million coming in from a rumored billionaire and a lot of whales that we know are sidelined. Probably a lot of them are copy trading Richard and just going into ETH first anyway. A lot of rich people out there that are about to find out about Pulse Chain. A lot of whales are going to be trying to enter. And when they're trying to enter through a tiny little gate, okay, it causes an explosion on the other side of the gate. That's because if all the pressure is built up and the liquidity is low, when it finally gets in, it fills up fast and the price goes up a whole lot. I'm using a metaphor of actual liquid. But, you know, here's the other thing that people don't talk about is when this money comes in, what is HEX primarily paired in liquidity to? It's primarily paired in liquidity to PLS. You're not going to find a whole lot of HEX on the market today paired to DAI stablecoins. Take a look right now. If I just look up HEX right here, all the Pulse Chain pairs, this one is HEX connected to DAI. It's only 145,000, which means there's only like $70,000 of DAI in the liquidity pool with HEX versus stablecoins. It's almost nothing. It's almost nothing. The primary liquidity is in HEX PLS. And when people are buying this HEX, they have to buy Pulse first. Let me show you guys how it works, okay? Let's go back to PulseX.com. Let's go to the trading platform. Let's flip-flop this and say, let's say I want to buy HEX with USDC. So I want to buy $1 million worth of HEX, all right? And today that's going to get me 108 million HEX. With 20% price slippage, it would push the price up a lot more than 20%. So even $1 million does a lot for the HEX price. But look at the route that it has to go. Look at the route right here, guys. It starts off with your USDC. Then your USDC goes into the USDC Pulse trading pair. So you're inserting USD coin and taking out PLS from that pair. And then you're putting that PLS into the Pulse HEX pair and you're taking out the HEX. So you have two hops on this one, okay? 100% of all the coins. This is the most efficient route for your money to go. First it goes into USDC Pulse, then it goes to HEX Pulse. So you're buying the price up of Pulse 2 when you're buying the price of HEX up. It's a win-win. It's amazing, and it's deliberately designed that way. Because look, all the stablecoin pairs, all the liquidity is paired to Pulse Chain via stablecoins. This is why Sami calls it the spear, okay? Because in order to get these other coins, you got to route through PLS first if you're using a stablecoin. And a lot of people out there are sidelined. And you know, a lot of people out there might have bought Ethereum and feeling that newfound wealth effect from Ethereum going up a whole bunch. Let's say some people go and they ride Ethereum from where it is now to $15,000. And they say, hey, I want to go buy some other coins. I want to go buy some Pulse, maybe even some HEX. Imagine after everybody's rich on ETH. Okay, everyone's rich on Ethereum and they're trying to all squeeze into the HEX liquidity pool. Well, it's even a tighter hole to squeeze through when you look at the Ethereum PLS liquidity. All right, look at this right here. All the stablecoin liquidity combined doesn't even come close. There's only $20 million of ETH PLS liquidity, which means only $10 million of Ethereum if you want to go from ETH into anything, into Pulse or into HEX. So, look, let's imagine a scenario where ETH goes up a lot, right? Seems reasonable. Seems like some of these people that get rich in ETH might want to come into Pulse Chain, might want to come into HEX. Imagine squeezing everybody through this $20 million liquidity pool, which, by the way, can be adjusted heavier or lighter based on the conditions, right? Because when times are good, low liquidity actually makes things pump higher to the upside. When people are bearish, low liquidity makes things pump harder to the downside. Basically, low liquidity makes things more volatile. High liquidity makes things less volatile. But let's go back to the exchange, right? Rich people, they've got Ethereum. They want to buy HEX. What happens if 1,000 Ethereum, imagine this is $10,000 Ethereum, right? This would be $10 million worth of Ethereum potentially squeezing in through this low liquidity pair to buy 300 million HEX. So a 41 even higher % price impact than coming in through stablecoins, US dollars, right? And look, it's the same thing. All the liquidity, 100% of the liquidity is going from Ethereum into ETH Pulse and finally into Pulse HEX. So it's buying the price up of Pulse first relative to ETH and then into HEX Pulse. This is a very important concept to know, and when you understand this, maybe you'll be as bullish as I am about the whole entire ecosystem, INC, HEX, Pulse Chain, PulseX, and all the meme coins. Imagine everything else that's tied to PLS liquidity that would potentially go along for the ride. All the DeFi protocols out there that you can use in a useful way to earn yield farms, Flex protocol so you don't have to dump all your HEX. Learn about these protocols before it's too late and before you're learning about it at the top and scrambling to know what to do. So, there you have it, guys. Ethereum ETF, finally approved. FIT21 bill. Be careful. Could be a Trojan horse, but at least we got something. And finally realize how scarce a lot of these coins are and how the liquidity conditions could be in the Goldilocks zone for us to pump astronomically high when the time comes. When Ethereum is in the green, when everyone's rich, when everyone's partying naked at $15,000 Ethereum, where is the natural progression of some of that money to flow next? Think about it, make your own choice. You know what I picked. I'll see you on the next video.